Hey guys, Dr. Jason Torado here, Monday Mindset Time. So today we're talking about, today I want you to be careful with your thoughts and I want you to be careful with what you think about on a minute by minute basis, on a daily basis. What you think about is really important. You probably heard it before, and you probably read about it and heard about it and seen it said so many ways that basically, if you want something, more often than not, the more you think about it, the greater chance that you'll do the necessary actions that it takes to get what it is that you want. But it's also a warning because a lot of successful people that I know of, they end up not enjoying what they end up getting. And even though they thought that that's what they wanted, they get it and they don't enjoy what it is that they wanted. So by far, what's really important here is to be aware of what negative things that you're producing in your brain on a minute by minute basis and on a daily basis. I think oftentimes worrying about things or focusing on your fears will actually pull you towards the things that you don't want in life, or it'll pull you towards the things that you don't want to happen inside your life. And I'll tell you something, I see a lot of it. I coach guys that a lot of times they don't know what they want, but they always know what they don't want. And because they focus on what it is that they don't want, that's exactly what they're getting because that's what they're focusing all the time on. And so sometimes people deep down, they want things, and this is hard to believe, but they want things not to work. Maybe they're afraid of success or fear of failure, but they don't want things to work out. I think it's because that way they feel in their mind that, I think if things do work out, they'll have to change or they'll have to grow in some way, shape, or form. And these people, they say they want things to work out, but deep down they don't want to work out because they don't want to make a change. And because they actually enjoy blaming other people or blaming other things for why things aren't working out because, hey, that's really easy. And yeah, that's sort of a victim mentality, but that's what we have in this world. So you've got to be really careful with what you put your mind to, what you focus on a regular basis. Because what you focus on is really what's going to be produced, and that's what's going to pull you towards it. Because if it's all you do is just focus on things, I guarantee you, that's exactly what's going to come to you. That's what's going to happen, and that works for the good, but it also works for the bad as well. And sometimes it works easier for the bad, right? Because sometimes the bad has more power. So the question is, you should ask yourself, how do you know if you're in that particular situation? How do you know if you're not in that mental trap? How do you know that's not going on in your life? So here's what you can ask yourself, okay? I want you to write this down, okay? Number one, I want you to ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I really want? Years ago, I went to a landmark seminar. And basically, it's a kind of like a self-improvement seminar. They put 100 people, 200 people in a room, in a tight room. And for the weekend, you just, you sit there and you kind of go over all of the things that, you're sorry for and talk about your weaknesses and things like that. And one of the lessons or one of the techniques that we did was for 10 minutes straight, we'd hook up with a partner. And for 5 minutes, I would yell at that person, screaming, "What do you want? What do you really, really want?" And that person would have to tell me what they wanted. And then after they would tell me what they wanted, I have to say it again. What do you really, really want? What do you really want? What is it that you want? And we would have to yell at the top of our lungs, and this person would have to tell us what they want. And then they'd do that for 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes later, we would just reverse roles. And I thought it was like the stupidest exercise in the world. But when I think about it now, years later, I think to myself, man, it's actually really a really good exercise because most people have absolutely no clue what they want. They know what they don't want, and they can tell you what they don't want specifically in complete detail, but they can't tell you with such clarity and with such detail what it is that they really want. So here's the exercise. Take a piece of paper, pencil, pen, and write down, what do you really want? Okay, it sounds easy, but it's not. And then also write down on that piece of paper, are you doing the things that you need to do, the necessary steps, the necessary actions to get what you want, to achieve those things? And or are you doing those steps? Or are you doing the opposite? Or are you doing things that prevent you from getting those things? Are you focusing things on ways of not getting that thing? Are you focusing on excuses? Are you figuring out why you can't be able to get those things? That's step number one. Number two, what I want you to do is, I want you to answer this question. Do you base your probability of achievement and success or achieving what I want based on success or the lack of other successes that others have had? Right? Or are you confident in your abilities and willing to go that extra mile when a lot of other people just drop out? And you probably know a lot of those people. So again, are you basing your probability of success based upon the success of others or the lack of success of others? Or are you confident in your abilities to be able to achieve these things and your willingness to be able to go that extra mile when a lot of other people quit? That's number two. And finally, number three is ask yourself this, and write this down. Write this down. Why do you do what you do? Think about that. Why are you a chiropractor? Why are you doing what you do for a living? I mean, or why do you do anything for that matter? Right? Why did you get married? Why did you have kids? Why did you want to be a chiropractor? Why do you work, in your practice? Why do you have a cash practice? Why are you just doing personal injury? Why do you do what you do? Is it just for the money? Or do you have a true passion for what you do? Or is it, you couldn't get into dental school? I mean, write down, why is it you do what you do? And, and look, and don't, and try to think of why you really want to do it. Don't let somebody else's brainwash you and say something by rote memory, by what you learned in a seminar. I'm here to save lives. Come on, I'm here to save lives because I was born to be a chiropractor. Come on, seriously, no one's born to be a chiropractor. That doesn't even make any sense, okay? So write down why you do. Think about this. It's a hard question. Why do you do what it is that you do? And so those are the three questions. And let's end it with a discussion about enjoying what it is that you do. Because my take on enjoying what you do is a lot different. I think successful people, they don't necessarily enjoy what they do all the time, but because that's hard to enjoy what you do all the time, right? I think for the most part, successful people like what it is that they do. But I think successful people are businessmen, and I think they have logical, not emotional, but they have logical reasons about their work, why they do their work, why they enjoy their work. And I think they understand that, look, in work, there are things that need to get done that aren't going to be enjoyable. And so they're willing to go that extra mile to go and do those things, whereas other people aren't willing to go, people that aren't successful aren't willing to go that extra mile. I think they understand what needs to get done to achieve the desired outcome. And again, they'll do whatever it takes to be able to achieve that desired outcome. And uh, and I think that they're there to have fun. Successful people open up their businesses because they want to have fun, but they also are willing to work hard. They're willing to make decisions. They're willing to um, think properly and not get too emotional and get and think logically about things. They're willing to make decisions relatively quickly. They're willing to take a risk. And I think they're really willing, ultimately, to take responsibility for whatever happens inside their practices. And a lot of successful people aren't willing to do that. They're just not. I think that I think these successful people believe that the more responsibility that they have in their practice and in their life, the more they feel like they're going to have control in their life. And to some degree, that's true, but but you can't get crazy with that, right? You can't be a control freak because you can't not control everything inside your life. Ultimately, you've got to leave it up to God. God has complete control over your life. So if you're not including a higher power, if you're not including God in your conversation, in your business, then that's a problem. Because you're going to feel like you've got total control, and in reality, you don't have total control. Because ultimately, eventually, you're going to let yourself down. So yes, you can have more control, and the more responsibility you take, you do have more control. But just be honest, okay? Be honest. You don't have total control, but you can overcome a lot of those weaknesses because we all have weaknesses. We really do, and that's something that I admit. I mean, again, I told you, my first few years in practice, I made a poverty level income until I really designed a true path for a successful practice. And if you want to know how to do that, if you want to save yourself 30 years of pain and misery and learn a system, a successful system to be able to build your practice, I'd love to show you how I did it. All right, guys, that's it. I'm Dr. Jason Tirado. I'll talk to you soon.